Islanders trade talks are heating up. An insider has revealed a wild trade that would put the Islanders in position to win the NHL draft and give all the fans at home what they want. So we're going to break it down on this episode of Islanders Digest, talk about how a blockbuster trade last night has really changed this Islanders position in terms of making this trade, and also what the Islanders would have to give up. Now, quickly before we get into that, we noticed that 65% of you who watch these videos have not yet subscribed to the channel. So if you're an Islander fan, you want more Islanders content just like this, what are you waiting for? Hit subscribe. The NHL draft is just one day away, and I cannot wait to see what the Islanders do. And if you want to stay up to date on everything Islanders, be sure to be subscribed to the channel. Now, one thing we have to talk about is Elliotte Friedman has says he thinks the Islanders are looking into acquiring another high draft pick. And this is just another insider harping on the fact that the Islanders really look to be interested in making James Hagen's coming to the Islanders happen. We know it's almost a guarantee at this point that the Islanders are going to select Schaefer. Let me know what you think about that in the comments below. But there have been a lot of rumors recently that the Islanders are also looking to bring home Long Island native James Hagens. And this rumor really cements that something is really happening, that there actually is some merit to all this Islander talk beyond just Islander fans wanting it. We know how much the Islander fans want it. And the question is how they can move in, because obviously I think that's what this high pick is for. And there'll be talks, so some people will say perhaps James Hagens isn't worth it, this, that. I will say I am very impressed with this player personally on my rankings, which I know don't mean all that much. I have Schaefer at number 1, Misa at 2, and then James Hagens at 3. So if the Islanders can somehow leave this draft with both Mathew Schaefer and James Hagens, they would be really setting themselves up for the future. And the question is, what team could they really make that trade with? And I think the answer last night became clear when the Utah Hockey Club made an actually the Utah Mammoth, sorry, I'm still getting used to the new name, made an absolutely insane trade for JJ Peterka. Now at first I was a little upset about this trade just because really Utah did not give up nearly as much as what I thought it would cost to get JJ Peterka. Now people are going to say, oh, why did Darsh not make this trade? I will say the Islanders don't have the type of right-handed defenseman that Buffalo Sabres are looking for. While we have speculated a potential Noah Dobson-Peterka trade where the Sabres give up more for Noah Dobson in addition to Peterka, and I think honestly Sabres fans would have been happier with that trade, but Noah Dobson doesn't do anything that the Sabres don't already have, while Michael Kesselring does a really good job at playing defensive hockey, and I think he's a really underrated defenseman in this league. I don't think the Sabres won this trade by any means, but still, I think it's a solid return. And the big focus here is now that this JJ Peterka has moved, and he was a one of the top candidates to be moved for Noah Dobson. One thing I'm noticing right away in this trade is Utah gave up a big defenseman in this trade. And while he is a right-handed defenseman, I think this gives a clear need for Utah where the Islanders can really talk about this fourth overall pick. We talked earlier on this channel about how it really did not make sense for the Islanders to trade Noah Dobson to, or any defenseman really, to Utah because they were kind of already set in that position. That was more just hoping that that would be enough to get it done. This really changes things from a Utah perspective in what they now need on their team. First of all, getting JJ Peterka, signing him for the next 5 years, this is a Utah team that is ready to win now. That 4th overall pick, while it is incredible to have, doesn't really provide them value on the ice, and it's clear now that they are trying to make the playoffs next season, and now they have a hole that the defense really is not looking as strong as it looked before. Taking a quick look at the Utah Hockey Club on defense, Sergachev is their top left defenseman, and he's incredible. But after that, this defense is a little questionable. You have Marino on the right side, and then Durzi as a second pair defenseman. And then you have a question mark in who is there after that. Ian Cole on the other side of the left defense really makes this a case where I think this is a team that might be interested in Alexander Romanov as well. And perhaps that might be an even better fit, especially when you consider what they gave up in Michael Kesselring. They really need a strong defenseman who really plays more the style of hockey that it seems like they're looking to play. That's going to be something definitely interesting. Obviously, for a 4th overall pick, you're going to have to give up more than Alexander Romanov. And I know a lot of fans are not happy about the idea of trading Romanov, but I think for a 4th overall pick, the opportunity to bring in 2 of the top prospects in this draft, I do think it is the right decision if Utah is interested in this deal, which honestly, looking at their defense and considering just there isn't too much available when it comes to defensemen in the NHL who play like Romanov, I think if you can package Romanov with something else for that fourth overall pick, such as the Colorado first, or maybe even a prospect like Quinn Finley in a second round pick, I think it makes sense for the Islanders to seek this trade out. Now with Noah Dobson, because Noah Dobson is really the defenseman that a lot of people have been talking about when it comes to trading back into this draft. And I'll note like that Utah is not the only team that it seems like the Islanders have talked to about this. There's rumors that they've had discussions with teams such as the Flyers, more discussions with the Bruins about just trying to find options to trade back in and select Higgins if he is still available. And I will say, if a trade like this is going to happen, it's not going to happen tonight. It's going to happen when the Utah Mammoth or any team that has the pick the Islanders want are on the clock and they know that Higgins, or if anyone else they're targeting, is available. Because it might not just be Higgins. I do think, just based on the fact that the Islanders interviewed 3 players and took out to dinner in the draft, and that included Schaefer, Misa, and Higgins, that I think the Islanders think Higgins is the 3rd best player available in this draft. Really haven't had any reports on them interviewing other players such as Dana Aye, but it could be the case that they're looking at one of these players as well, but really focusing on the picks available. I think it makes more sense to go after the 4th overall pick where you'll know this player is available. And as you go down, I don't necessarily think the value is going to go down so much just because the player you're looking for is still out there. And while a team like Utah might not be very high on Higgins just because what they have on their roster, I mean, one of the biggest comparisons for Higgins has been Cooley. And since he's already on their roster, there really isn't much of a need for that type of player. Doesn't mean there aren't going to be other teams interested in these players, perhaps teams that are back in the draft looking to move back up. Still, I think the Islanders have an interesting opportunity, especially when it comes to a team like Utah, in the sense where they can offer them things that other teams just quite can't offer. Other teams that are trying to move up in this draft, such as Pittsburgh, don't have defensemen like Romanov and Dobson, who are young and can also provide value right now. And it's going to be really interesting to see what the Islanders, if this trade happens, what they give up. I will say, ending this video, this final note, if it is Dobson that does get moved, I don't completely agree with the idea of moving Dobson for just a pick. With Romanov, I still don't love it, but I can accept it. And as this goes on, I do think at this point, the Islanders getting Higgins is actually a lot more likely than I thought it was a week ago. A week ago, I thought it was something interesting to think about, but I really thought there was only a 10% chance of it happening. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I think at this point, it's getting close to the point where it's a 50-50 that the Islanders are going to get this done. But if they do it with a player like Dobson, I think you absolutely need to get something from their roster in return. The 4th overall pick is obviously going to be the main part of the trade, but I'm also looking at potentially taking roster players, and especially considering Utah's situation, if they're bringing in Dobson, they're going to want to clear some cap. So one player I'm actually looking at is a player like Michele, who's really struggled this season, had a really good year last year, putting up 50 points. This year he couldn't put it together, especially now that Peterka is going to be taking a second line spot. He's going to be on the 3rd line now. I think he played all of last season on the 3rd line. He's a player who needs more minutes. And as a result, I think that's a really interesting player for the Islanders to get in a trade in return. Obviously, the main piece would be the 4th overall pick, but I think with Dobson, you have to get more than just that 4th overall pick. Otherwise, even if I'll be happy, because I think at this point, especially as it becomes clear that this is more something the Islanders want to do, I am really warming up to the idea of bringing in Higgins. I think it can work really well for the future, but I think you have to get something else in return, not just that pick. Now, Romanov, of Hackers to Romanov, I understand it's a lot to give up for a 4th overall pick, but I think that's just the price you have to pay if you want to make a move like this. Let me know in the comments what you think about all these rumors. Do you think this actually is going to happen? I think for the first time, I'm actually starting to believe that this is more than just a rumor that Islander fans want to happen. I think that Mathew Barzal really is intent on building this team through the draft, and not for nothing, if you look at what he's talked about, what he wants his team to be, he talks a lot about speed and the team playing faster. What better way than to make your team faster in the future than adding Matthew Schaefer and James Higgins in the same draft? That's my thought. We're going to see what's happening. Obviously, there's going to be a lot more Islanders rumors in the next few hours. If you haven't already, what are you waiting for? Be sure to subscribe to the channel. My name is Patrick Nilan. This is Islanders Digest. Let's go, Islanders.